Okay, hello everyone. I suppose we can start. Hi, my name is Evdoxia Kouraki from Johanneberg Science Park in Sweden. And today, together with Justine from city of Ghent, we are going to host a session about open source solutions for smart communities as part of SCORE project. A little bit in information about my background. I'm a project manager at Johanneberg Science Park and responsible for one of the working packages related to living labs and replication in this SCORE project. Justine?
Yes, and I'm Justine Ottevaere from the city of Ghent. I work as a policy and project worker in the data and information service. And we, Eva and me, we brought our colleagues from partner cities with us to tell you a bit of the project and the learnings and some practical examples on how SCORE is doing and running at the moment.
Yes, together with us, we have two representatives from the city of Aarhus and the city of Hamburg. Hello, Kim and Samaneh. We will give the floor to you later on. So, sorry for this. Let's move about the next slide. Is the agenda for today. We will give you a short intro about SCORE project and its approach, and then we will go deeper to two examples from the city of Aarhus and Hamburg related to replication of open source solutions, the QR code toolkit and IoT registry. Then we will conclude with some learnings and reflections. So first of all, let's talk about what is SCORE. SCORE it stands for Smart Cities and Open Data Reuse. It is an EU-funded project, Interreg North Sea Region project, that aims to increase efficiency and quality of public services in cities throughout the North Sea region about open data driven solutions. And the SCORE partners develop innovative solutions based on open data and focus on sharing insights and methodologies for developing better public services. Some examples are sustainable mobility, improving air quality, monitoring flooding, and further crowd management. Here you can see all the SCORE partners. We have 9 cities and 3 universities here, as you can see. And project leader is the Amsterdam city. So now Justine will present a little bit about the SCORE approach.
Yes, thank you, Eva. So the SCORE project was a really nice idea. And this was how we thought the SCORE project would turn out. First, some challenge discovery, then work it out in challenge working groups, who'd go then over to some solutions working group, and then we would all nicely replicate each other's solutions, or not even each other's solutions, but new solutions we all came up with together by brainstorming, prototyping. So that was a really nice idea, with also the support of some living labs, and then we would just go ahead and reuse and upscale all of our solutions and all of our components. So this was a really a brilliant idea and some nice theory we would go after. But I can tell you that it didn't work out the way we wanted to. It is not practical. We are working with academic researchers. We are working with policy workers, just as me. And this is not how cities are running. We don't have the freedom, the time, the money, or the budgets to just explore and create and share, although it's a very nice idea. Behind this theory, we also, for example, came up with the Eva, if you can let it pop up. Yeah, this was one example. We came up with the double diamonds, very innovative and a very nice theory, where we all the cities who are participating would come up with challenges on mobility, on environment, and on water. and everyone could share their challenges, and then we do it all together, share 3 challenges again, and then work around those 3 challenges where everyone supported. And then it was the idea, starting from those challenges, to go broader again for each challenge, come up with several ideas, several prototypes, and then once we have picked the best one for each challenge, let's go and develop and produce those solutions into working groups. And after that, we will have 3 wonderful solutions that help all of our cities. A very nice idea, but it didn't work that way. As cities, we had our own products already. We are working on different teams. So we came up with some common challenges, but try to sell it back home then. So we had our common challenges within SCORE, but it didn't match with priorities on our local level. So that was a struggle we had. So the nice theory, the whole idea on SCORE, we had to think differently. We had to come up with, okay, this is a nice theory, but how do we gonna make this work? How are we going to reuse solutions of Amsterdam, of Hamburg, of Aarhus city, of the city of Ghent? How are we going to make this work? And we managed, I guess, after 2 years, we managed to find a way or a method to share ideas, to try to copy not complete or finished solutions, but try to copy some components and take over some of ideas from other cities to try to make it work back home. And that is where we see how Aarhus and Hamburg have made this work. So I first gave the floor to, if I'm correct during the slides, yeah. No, first another example. So this was how we collected challenges and tried to make solutions work in theory and then in practice. But another way was then how to replicate things, but that's Eva's part.
Yes, thank you, Justine. Yeah, part of this journey with SCORE, it was also to replicate SCORE solutions. And in the very beginning, the plan was to replicate whole open source solutions from one city to another. In the middle of this journey, we realized after interviews and workshops with the partners that was not so feasible as we thought in the very beginning. So the most feasible scenario for us was to have a component replication, and that has the most potential to succeed. So for that, we have developed a replication guidelines for the partners and a replicability assessment tool that the partners interested to replicate solutions could use in order to assist them in this process. And I think now that we can move forward to the specific examples. Justine.
Yeah, so these, as we already mentioned, we brought with us Kim and Samaneh to show you how we took solutions of another city, tried to see which generic components were in there and how we could make them work at home. And in the first case, this home city is the city of Aarhus from Kim. So there you go, Kim.
Thank you very much. My name is Kim Søvsø, and I'm head of a department called Aarhus City Lab, which is an internal technology and innovation lab in the city of Aarhus in Denmark. And during the first or the next few minutes, I will introduce you to a tool set and a set of components built by Ghent and District 09. I will explain how we replicated this solution in Aarhus and touch upon some of the potentials we see in using this tool built in the SCORE project. So QR codes have existed for many years, and they come in many different forms and layouts. But QR codes have some challenges. They provide a great way to put a digital interface into the physical objects or places, allowing us to build a sort of digital layer on top of city infrastructure, cultural sites, and everyday objects that we encounter in our city. So with QR codes, we can, in a very cheap manner, track inventory, register when the cleaning staff came by our office kitchen. We can make easy to find interfaces to let citizens provide feedback to our city, or let them report issues in the city, or turn everyday objects into sort of virtual portals to digital information. And we can even get some context information, such as the timestamp or the geolocation of when the code was scanned. The problem, however, is that many QR codes are often bound to a specific app or a specific usage domain, or they even provide a link to a specific hard-coded URL. So this is not very future-proof, and the value of the QR codes, they rapidly decrease if every potential user of the QR code is forced to use a specific vendor's app, or if the digital information that you reach when scanning the QR code can never be changed without changing the QR code itself. So in order to benefit from the many potentials of QR codes in a municipal context, our clever friends at the City of Ghent and District 09 came up with a solution, the solution called the open source QR toolkit. And it lets you create QR codes with dynamic endpoints that can be read by the built-in camera of virtually any smartphone. And it gives each QR code different applications that can even change over time just by changing the information in the backend provided by this application. In Aarhus, we have been using QR codes for a number of years and for many different purposes, but we have never been able to find one single platform that could provide us with the right level of ease of use and flexibility for both the QR code administrators and for the end users. But with the QR toolkit developed by Ghent and District 09, we can easily push forward on a number of different use cases. One of them is to create a preferred QR toolkit platform across the entire municipality for any purpose without having this vendor-specific end-user app. And this would help us reach a level where QR codes become mainstream in a municipal context. And secondly, we want to build a sort of transparency labeling system that allows us to create product labels, so to speak, for all the technology solutions that we or that our citizens encounter in the city, and in that way provide an easy way to get information on, for instance, the purpose of the solution, what data is being collected, and how the data is being managed, and who to contact in case of questions or ideas. And finally, we want to integrate this solution into the Danish open source tool called OS2 IoT, which is developed by OS2, a Danish public digitization network who builds open source solutions. And the OS2 IoT platform is sort of an IoT management platform where the use of QR codes could help streamline how you onboard new IoT sensors in this platform. And that would lower the barriers of entry for using IoT solutions. So that's a few potentials we see in using the QR code toolkit. So to explain what we did in more practical words, I've built this short 5-step guide for replicating the QR code toolkit. What we did was simply to get the code from the repository on GitHub. We set up an instance of the application for our city on Heroku, a server management platform in the cloud, and we set up the user interface to manage the different QR codes that we were going to use. Secondly, we defined the first test case, and we simply attached some unassigned QR codes to different objects. In this case, some of the life-saving devices that we have throughout the city. We have retrofitted some of them with the GPS trackers to help prevent vandalism and to find them again when they disappear from the place where they're supposed to be. And in the interface, we then redirected the QR code to the toolkit's built-in landing page, and through that providing the links to the different maintenance platforms, and also to a public information page providing information on the purpose of these GPS units, and giving the citizens information about why are we tagging these live buoys with the GPS trackers, and what is the purpose, what data is being collected, and so forth. Step number 4 was to test the end-to-end flow, actually scanning these QR codes throughout the city and discovering how the collective flow would work. And the final step for us is to scale the solution to further use cases and to build upon these general ideas we have on how to use QR codes. So I hope this short presentation was relevant and inspiring, and I encourage you very much to check out the QR toolkit as well as the other SCORE solutions in the catalog and on our website. Thanks.
Okay, great, Kim. Thank you for the example. And as IoT devices pop up everywhere in every city, we also try to work on that in the SCORE project. But this is where Samaneh takes over to give an example on the city of Hamburg. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Also from me, good morning. I'm happy to be here to present you some solutions that we had implemented in Hamburg. I'm from the Agency of Roads, Bridges and Waters, and together with the colleagues from the Agency of Geoinformation and Surveying, we did all the things that I'm going to present you in the next slides. By the way, I'm more a project leader, so the technical things that I'm going to present you was done by other colleagues. At the very beginning at the SCORE project, or better to say after we overcome the first challenges that Justine described, the city of Amsterdam came up with their solution, their IoT registry, where the idea was to visualize all the different sensors that they had in a city of Amsterdam to raise the transparency for all the different citizens. So they shared their solution at the very beginning of the development process and also shared the data models that they had with the SCORE community. I think we, the city of Hamburg, but also the city of Ghent, was the first followers of the solution. So Ghent also developed, I guess, a very similar registry as the from the city of Amsterdam. And also we from Hamburg got inspired from the first idea. However, as also Justine said, we had to look at our local infrastructure, data models, data, and so on, to see if it's feasible for us to implement or not. But in Hamburg, then we came up with 2 different variations of the IoT registry. The first one was really also similar to Amsterdam and Ghent, to have the focus on the sensors. So we have at our urban data platform Hamburg, which is our general data platform, the city, a range of different sensors, and we build it integrated as an IoT registry, similar to the other cities. The second idea, a second variation, was that we at the city of Hamburg, we had an ITS strategy where we have a lot of different projects generating services which are also interesting for the citizens. So the idea was to have some kind of interactive map, not only with the sensors, but also to focus on the services. So I would like to give you some more details about the 2 different variations of our implementations in the next slides. So the first one, as I said, the IoT registry, very similar, but we used our own existing infrastructure, which is the master portal technology, which is the backbone of our urban data platform in Hamburg. And the IoT registry, which is already in place in Hamburg, contains over 5,000 metadata sensor locations already, and is implemented as a web map service and web feature service. And on the left side, you can see some sensors which are included, for instance, the occupancy sensors for electric charging stations, or we have the actual traffic signal statuses. We have infrared sensors for temperature measurement and energy, photovoltaic, and so on. And all these data are basically having their own or had their own layers on the general open data platform. And with having this kind of centralized IoT registry, they are now merged together. So every interested citizen, but also authorities, can have an overview of all the different sensors in the city. Yes, thank you. Some technical information on this slide. So we are using a real-time architecture, which I've also linked on the slide, and we're using the OGC Sensor Things API, which is an open source framework for IoT devices. It's also the standard of our open data platform. So all of the data which is really available as real time, for this we're using the Sensor Things API. The colleagues have set up an FME process, and we're using Frost server for storing the data from the Sensor Things API. And at the end, the JSON elements which are returned and processed are transmitted to our web map service and visualized for the public. I also, in case you will get the slides afterwards, I've also linked the both services for you, so you can go also and check out. Next slide, please. Yes. In Hamburg, we have the option with our open data to integrate them in an overall service where all of the different data sets will have their own layers, but also we can implement a kind of separate individual portal for each of our services, which is done for the IoT registry portal. Here, everybody has the opportunity to use some filter options. For instance, you can, as a citizen, if you're interested to see which sensors are located in your district, you can filter them, or you can also go and filter the sensor type. But also if you're, as an authority, for instance, interested to have an overview of all of the devices that your organization provides, you can also filter from the organization perspective. The portal function gives a bit more functionality and features for the users, and yeah, you can go and explore the different devices in the city. The second variation of the IoT registry, as I had said, is more focused on services. So as a city of Hamburg, we follow our ITS strategy, have a lot of different projects. These projects are implemented by different authorities. And now with a lot of projects, we are on the state where services are generated by using different sensors. So the idea was being inspired from the city of Amsterdam, not only focus the sensors, but have a visualization and interactive map for citizens, but also for authorities, where all the services are displayed. So you can see, for instance, we count cyclists in the city, or we have a kind of speed advisory for people who are interested. We have environment recognition. For all of these services, you need different sensors, of course, but in this map, these sensors should not be in the focus, but it's more the services. So we visualize them on an interactive map. And also you will get, for instance, further information on the services, the purpose of the services, but also of the technology which is used. And the idea is so that it's kind of automatically updated every day. So you are on an updated stand if you look at the map. Most of the services are based on a traffic light. So we at the agency, basically being responsible for the traffic lights in Hamburg, have used as a main data source our core program, our core database, being inspired kind of from the data model of Amsterdam. We developed with our colleagues from the Agency of Geoinformation and Surveying our own data model. This is going through an FTP process and then being integrated by our technical colleagues into the open data platform. Here you can see a first implementation of this service. Means that the different services have their own icons being displayed on a map of Hamburg. Here the services are displayed as separate layers. So if you're interested, for instance, to only see the speed advisory services where it is, for instance, in your district or not, you can not currently use the filter options. This is still in progress, but the idea is to also have a separate portal so everybody can also have these filter options to get more transparency, more ideas on which services are displayed and provided in the city. So the idea, I hope I could show you the process of having a first city implementing a solution, sharing the ideas, sharing the data models, and then we, as a city of Hamburg, we looked at our local situation and trying to make the most of the existing inspiration that we got through this SCORE project.
And now we can move forward to some learnings and reflections. Overall, some learnings connected to the replication process overall, and what we have learned after some replication workshops we had with the partners and dialogue with SCORE partners. We found out that timing is key, that all the relevant stakeholders need to be involved at the right time of their own decision-making process in order to make replication happen. It's not an easy task. We need to understand and to not underestimate the time that is needed for discussions to understand the challenge the solution is meant to solve. So by doing so, we determine what aspects of the solution are most relevant and how they are best replicated. So again, time is needed for discussions. And we always need the right stakeholders from the cities that want to export their solution and the cities that want to replicate the solution. And we need to keep in mind that each municipality has a different organizational structure, and we need the right people to be involved that have mandates and time and resources to replicate. So it's not just one department. We found out also that a good internal communication between the various departments in each city need to be in place in order to succeed with replication. So a lot of learnings from our side connected to replication process. And then we have some overall reflections. Justine.
Yes, indeed. So if I'm talking about SCORE to whoever wants to hear it, then I say sharing is caring. And that was a process that we underestimated a lot. Everyone just came into, yeah, okay, we have to make this work. This is the theory, let's go. But sharing was not something we did without seeing immediate return from it. Like, okay, I can share that with you, but how is this gonna make me better? So that was a very hard one to tackle, that you can just share something and there's no immediate return, but in the long term, the idea of sharing and that everyone else sees your code or sees your data or sees the way you are working or the way you decide things within your city, that can also be inspiring for other cities, or you can have some feedback or some discussion about it and question yourself and your way of working. So it took us almost 2 years to trust each other and to share openly whatever was on our mind, whatever codes we were struggling with, whatever good or bad solution we had in mind. And that was also what Eva was referring to communication. We were all expressing SCORE in our own way back home, but we were all explaining it differently. So not only sharing our ideas, but also sharing the same opinion, the same standards on SCORE. So almost 2 years before we all understood the same idea on SCORE and the way we were expressing SCORE back home and to each other. So, but now we are all very fond of the sharing and the caring. So once we overcame this struggle, SCORE took off, and then we came up with the IoT registry, the Hamburg master portal was shared, the IDs on the QR toolkit, and those were just 2 or 3 examples of all the work we have been doing. A second one was mind the balance. Standards and generic components are very important. I think everyone in this room is fan and sees the importance of standards and generic components, but don't. You have to keep in mind the local organization, the local needs, the local priorities that are changing every 6 or 4 years. So try to there we struggle a lot to try to get those generic components into our local solutions, into our local priorities. But that was also where communication and timing were key during this process. And this is where we came to the last one, but Eva already explained that a lot, or very well, is that indeed getting the political support has also an influence on the timing, getting the right people at the right moment at the right table. And also, once there is at this moment no interest in a solution a city is working on, this doesn't mean it is a bad solution. You should keep working on it and try to bring it back into the project, or to introduce it to another room with other people, and maybe there's the timing is more right than it was in the other room, or at the other time you presented a solution where you really believe in and you really wanted to share with the room. And talking about timing, I think we nailed the timing of this presentation because we are already at the end. I hope we gave you a quick view on SCORE. It's a project that it is going on for 3 years and ends in August. So there a lot has happened, and a lot has been written on code, on data. We work together very fine, and there are a lot of nice projects and nice people in our project. This was just a quick view on the project, and I hope you enjoyed it a bit. Here you can find where you can read more on the project, and please come up with your questions and address them to the right colleague here in the room. And if there are none, then I give back the word to Oask.
Yep, I think we just had a comment in the chat. Someone shared another sensor network registry. Can you see that, Justine, in the comments?
I see that Smart for Society shares with us that there is a on Dutch level, so I think in the Netherlands, a sensor registry network, and I will share this with my people in the city of Ghent. Where when I see Kadaster, I have some colleagues in my data and information service who will really be glad with that. So thank you for the comments, Smart for Society.
Thank you for sharing. I don't know if Kim or Samaneh wants to add something before we end our session.
Yeah, I see another question from Angelo. Angel Navarro, excuse me. She is thanking us for the super interesting panel. And the question there is, how do you think that a small company like ours, Open Data software provider, can get involved into the SCORE projects? I can answer that from the city of Ghent. For some solutions, we had the developing inside. We have a District 09 and own IT support that has some developers on board, but other cities in the project do not have that expertise and the possibilities to develop in-house. So there was an opportunity to work together with external companies, with small companies, or with other organizations who support us or develop it together with us. And then we were able to buy external expertise and work together with companies who developed this together with some of the SCORE partners. So that was quite depending on which city came up with a solution, or which cities were working together, if there was an opportunity to develop in-house, or if there was a need for an external expertise. And that answered a bit of the question, but maybe Kim or Samaneh of Eva can add something more on the type of company. This is the open data software provider.
Sorry.
You first.
Yeah, thank you. In case of Hamburg, indeed, in our agency, we didn't have the capacities to do it ourselves, like for instance in Ghent. So we had to work like with the procurement processes, but we didn't. The company that like won it was not an open data software developer. It was like a smaller company. But the possibility was there, as we really didn't have the capacities in our agency to follow it. And yes, so differently from Ghent, for instance.
The case for Aarhus was that we also fortunately have some in-house development capabilities. So we did most of the development and implementation of other solutions for testing purposes in-house.
We have one more question that maybe you can answer here. How were the citizens involved? Is Christina Oman from RISE asking. Do you have any answer to this? How did you involve the citizens in your solutions?
I can answer this for the city of Ghent. For some solutions, we needed the input of citizen, but not for all of them. And I think once we, in the city of Ghent, we see involving our citizen as sharing the data as the output data. Like with, we work on crowd monitoring in Ghent, and there we get them involved once we collect data, but the output of the solution, it's this busy in the city, you should come by bike, or you could park your car over there. That's how we inform the citizen, so they are not really involved, particularly for that solution. But in other solutions, we're more for internal use. We're more for internal organization, like the road department used the QR toolkit. So there were no citizen involved because they were not the end user. So that's what I can say from the city of Ghent, but I saw that Kim was also trying to.
Yeah, I would just about to make the same point as you, that there's many of the score tools have a sort of more administrative purpose in that the internal people are the end users, so to speak. But of course, the benefit from these solutions would be to create better services for the citizens in the end.
Yeah.
Yes, as Eva explained in the beginning of the project, it's about more efficiency, saving budget, sharing data to be more efficient. So it's indeed more for internal use, or for the back end of the organization, instead of really focusing on the citizen themselves. Yeah,
but of course the real end user would be the citizen. Of course, that's the aim. I don't see any other questions so far. So thank you all for great presentations, and we hand over to Aarhus maybe for the next session.